Coming up on iOS today, Apple has officially announced the App Store Award winners for the year, so it is time to take a look at the best apps and games, as per Apple, that are on the App Store. Stay tuned.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
This is iOS Today, episode 630, recorded Tuesday, November 29th, 2022. App Store Award winners. This episode of iOS Today is brought to you by IT Pro TV. Join a community of IT learners who access more than 5,800 hours of IT skills and training courses and interact with each other and subject matter experts to better themselves, their organizations, and their careers. Get 30% off when you sign up at itpro.tv/twit and use the code TWIT30 at checkout. And by 8 Sleep. For a limited time, 8 Sleep is offering TWiT listeners up to $400 off their Sleep Fit holiday bundle by visiting 8sleep.com/iOS. After November 30th, go to 8sleep.com/iOS to check out the pod and look for other exclusive holiday savings or save $150 at checkout with our normal offer. Welcome back to iOS Today, the show where we talk all things iOS, tvOS, HomePod OS, watchOS, iPad OS. I may have already said that OS, but it's a lot of OSs. We talk about them here on the show. And that means that you get to learn about what you need to download or what you should be doing or how you can better make use of those devices that you have, those iPhones and iPads and watches and all that jazz. I am one of your hosts, Mikah, Sargent.
And I am Rosemary Orchard, and I just wanted to tell everybody how great Mikah was. I had flu last week, and I messaged him, and he was just like, I'm on it, I've got it sorted, and he got a great guest in for you. So big thanks to Mikah for that.
Yeah, and big thanks to Christopher Lawley, who subbed in. That was a good show, but we are so happy to have you back here this week, just in time for the newly announced App Store Award winners. So let's talk first about what this means. These are, according to Apple, the best apps and games of 2022. It's 16 apps and games, and these are apps that are from all sorts of different developers all over. They talk about the diversity of the community of the creators that made these apps, and they're selected not only for kind of the best of the bunch, but also maybe some apps or games that had an impact on the culture in some way. So it's an interesting look at not just the most popular apps necessarily, but the apps that are well worth talking about at the very least, and in many cases are some that you've probably already heard of. Now, what's important to note is that this is different from the App Store Awards that take place at the Worldwide Developer Conference. We, of course, covered those apps earlier this year as Apple holds that event in the summer, and we covered those apps at the time. These are less focused on kind of apps that are making the best use of Apple's technologies per se, and more just on apps that people are into and that the App Store editorial team think are awesome. So without further ado, I think it is a good idea for us to dig in. The first app that gets an award is, again, under apps, and this is for the iPhone app of the year, and it goes to BeReal. BeReal is the social media app where you are prompted at some point during the day within a 24-hour period to take a photo where you are meant to, quote unquote, be real. So you have just a few seconds, essentially, to take a photo that will actually use the front-facing camera. I always do that. Yeah, I guess it is the front-facing camera, the camera that faces towards your face and the camera facing away from your face, and captures both of those photos. And you are encouraged to do this at the moment that the prompt pops up. The idea is that you will take a photo that is more realistic, that is not kind of burdened by the experience of trying to take the best photo possible, or post yourself in a way that makes you seem as though you are, you stand aside from the competition, you stand apart from the competition. So I used BeReal for a while. It is a free app that you can download and make use of. I ended up starting to feel bad about not using it. Whenever I'd get that notification, I would, I'm in the middle of something, or, this is not a great photo. And so I, just decided not to use it. But I know a lot of my friends and some family members who still make use of BeReal. And at the very least, I am not surprised to see it appear on this list, because it has garnered a lot of attention, and it is a very popular app on the App Store. Are you on BeReal, Rosemary?
I'm not, but I love the idea of it where, you're taking a photo every day. And I think that there's probably a lot of people who've realized over the last couple of years that they no longer seem to be doing things. Obviously, there's been a certain amount of having to stay at home involved in that for a lot of folks. But I think that if somebody is looking for something to experiment with for next year, there's the Project 365 where you take a photo every day for a year. Why not try it out with BeReal? Because that way you get 2 photos. It's a 2-in-1 job. So certainly worth considering and giving it a go if you are looking for that. And I just like the idea of taking the photos with both cameras. I remember, didn't Samsung release a new Galaxy at some point, and they had like this huge presentation where you could do the awkward family photo with yourself in it, despite the fact that you were standing taking the picture. I guess they hadn't heard of a selfie stick. Oh, either way, this is a good solution to that without having to buy a Samsung.
Indeed, yeah. I think we saw more apps make use of that functionality after BeReal particularly popularized it, because it was a feature that was available in some different apps and services, but it wasn't kind of front of mind. And BeReal really kind of focused on that as the main interaction. And I think it was a really good idea. So I'm not surprised, again, to see it on this list and make it here. The next app on the list is an app for the iPad that is called GoodNotes. And we're on GoodNotes 5 at this point. GoodNotes is an app that lets you create notebooks and be able to use those notebooks, of course, for writing notes, as you might imagine. This one has received as much attention as it has because of the fact that it is a very sort of in-depth and detailed application. Apple's editorial team writes, with best-in-class Apple Pencil support and powerful collaboration tools, the gold standard of digital note-taking got even better with GoodNotes 5. So I am in GoodNotes 5 right now, and I will tap on this notebook called Notebook 2022. I've got my Apple Pencil here, and I am using that currently to sort of interact with the screen. I can double tap on that Apple Pencil to change between the eraser and the pen, and I am able to highlight things. I can add, of course, shapes okay. So I guess those are just automatic shapes. I can add stickers, which I guess I don't have any stickers right now. There we go. So I can see, for example, some sticky notes that I could add. And this is really GoodNotes. I see a lot of different influencers on Instagram and elsewhere make use of GoodNotes because it is kind of meant to replicate the experience of using a physical notebook of some sort in digital space. And so if you are used to kind of the bullet journaling and that kind of thing, this is going to be familiar to you. But what I love about this is there are so many different options for how to add content to a notebook that I'm working on. I can easily change the template of a page, but let me go down into the stylus and palm rejection because I want to show this has some great features. So first of all, you can choose if you are using the Apple Pencil as your stylus, which I am in this case. And then it has the ability to let you then use a finger to do painting as opposed to, or excuse me, to do panning. So that way, if you're using your Apple Pencil, you can use your finger to pan at any time. And it has palm rejection that goes further than what you would normally get with just iPad OS because you can choose your writing posture. And my writing posture, I'm left-handed, and it's about how it shows here on the screen. But if you're right-handed or left-handed and you write a little differently from that, then you are able to select that as well. And then let me pop out and show if we create a new notebook or document, you can create folders, images here. You can keep your documents locked in here. I will choose notebook and then check this out. There are all of these different covers that are available. So I could choose, simple red. I could make it seem as if it's got one of those straps on the outside, some fun options here. So you can really customize it and make it look how you want. And then there are options for what kind of paper you want to use. So you can have ruled, narrow pages, squared. A lot of people are fans of the dotted paper. But then there's also writing papers. So if you are, maybe making a journal, the Cornell writing method, you can create a planner very easily. Music, if you are trying to create some music. I'll give this one a name, which we'll just call it iOS Today. And then I will create this one. And now it shows it's very easy to move between these different notebooks that I've got. So I can swipe between those two as I need to. But then here I could add text or I could write. I could do any of that kind of stuff that I need. And then using the share sheet, I could create a link where people are able to collaborate with me on creating this document. Easy tools for printing. And then also the ability to kind of set up a presentation of sorts where there are three different options. Mirror the entire screen. So what I'm showing on my screen will look like what you're seeing there. Mirroring the presenter page. So what that will do is it'll just show the page and not the interface around it. And then mirror the full page where the audience doesn't see the interface and also it's just zoomed out so that the full page is shown. So again, I just love these little details. I can think of a teacher, for example, making use of this with an Apple TV connected to a display that's in front of them. And then the other thing that I wanted to show is that there are lots of fun sort of templates that have been created already, and that is via the pop-up shop, which is in the top right corner. It looks like a little shopping bag. So here there are planners and paper templates, covers, and other elements that you can make use of. So here, for example, is some graph paper and charting paper, and these are available for in-app purchases, 99 cents, for example. Stem stickers, which is kind of fun. And I believe that you have collaborated with me.
Yeah, I sent you a link, Mikah, because I wanted to make a moment to quickly mention one of the things that you can do as well is you can create your own templates. And so if I'm adding a page into this notebook that I've created to share with Mikah, then I can actually have this is a custom sort of planner page that I made. But not only that, you can actually buy different ones on Etsy as well. Loads of folks have gone and made digital planner packs that you can put straight into GoodNotes, actually GoodNotes file format. They usually have PDF options too, so you could use them with Notability or similar. But I love the fact that all of that exists.
Yeah, so I've just accepted that share, and now I'm in Rosemary's iOS Today document where I could easily add hello. And, go from there to add some text, add some highlighting, et cetera, et cetera. So that is, I'm going to remove that. That is GoodNotes, and it is available in the App Store, I believe it's a free download. With that, you get 3 notebooks. And then after that, if you want to create more notebooks, then you pay a one-time purchase of $8.99, which I think, again, really good deal. You pay once and you get that with the option to, of course, to buy in-app purchases if you'd like to, but the just complete unlock for $8.99 is really, I think, a great price for that. So that is GoodNotes 5. Oh, and I guess I failed to mention, along with just being a great note-taking app, it's also a great way to mark up documents that you have. So if you want to, pull in a PDF or pull in a website that you are kind of giving feedback on, GoodNotes is a great way to do that as well. It's got some good annotation tools and support for marking up documentation. All right, let's see. We'll keep going down the list here. Apple has categorized them differently depending on where you go. So in the newsroom post, it's doing apps all together and then games all together. So that's how we're going to do it. But if you check out the story that's actually in the App Store, then it does it by device, iPhone and then iPad and then Apple Watch, I believe, and Apple TV. So continuing with the apps of the year, I'll give a brief quick mention to MacFamilyTree 10, because that is the Mac app of the year. This is just I think a genealogist's dream, or an amateur genealogist, even their dream. This is a tool for helping you to create and keep track of your family's history. It does include some historical information built into it, so you can make use of the database that's there, but it also lets you create your own family tree and work through what you're trying to pull up. So, we typically don't cover Mac OS on this app. Or on this show. And so I don't want to get too into the weeds with this. But I will also mention that right now, there's a 50% discount on MacFamilyTree. It's available for $34.99. I guess normally it is, $70. So it might be well worth checking out if you are interested in kind of tracking your family's information. And the other, and then there are 2 more to go for apps. The Apple TV app of the year, I'm going to do another brief mention for this, given that this is an English language podcast. There is a Spanish language streaming app called VIX, VIX, that has received the award for the Apple TV app of the year. They have chosen this. Let me find what their words are regarding this. A Spanish language streamer that brought together the drama we love and the sports that get our hearts pumping. So that goes to VIX. I think here you've got a lot of people downloading this app is one reason why it makes the list. And then also because it is a well-designed Apple TV app. Apple, I would say, of all of the services or the platforms that Apple provides, it's often the case that the Apple TV apps end up kind of these developers that are working for these big companies end up making these very customized streaming methods and all this sort of nonsense. And it's just like, if you could just use the tools that Apple provides, then it would integrate very well with the Apple TV. I could keep it in my up next, you know what I mean? And so I wish.
Mikah, you need to go talk to some managers. I'm sure some managers going, okay, so we're going to do this and it's going to look amazing and completely custom. And the developers are there going, and you've just quadrupled my workload. So, yeah.
Yes, please just keep it standard. It'd be so much better.
Yeah, it doesn't have to look unique. The content is what's unique.
Yes, exactly. And then last but not least is the Apple Watch app of the year. This is Gentler Streak. And I think this is a really cool idea, Rosemary, because it is looking at working out as something that you do to sort of keep your body moving as it should, to keep your body, because I think, sometimes and I think that this app kind of focuses on that. We kind of lose the role of exercise in our lives whenever it becomes this hyper-focused thing that's about like reshaping the body and doing all this other stuff, when really the point of exercise for us modern humans is to signal to our metabolism, our immune system, our central nervous system, all of these little things that run inside of our body at all times, to tell it, hey, I'm active and I need you to keep doing what you do so that I have the energy to do the things that I need to do. Because when we don't do that, when we don't get any activity, our brains and bodies are naturally predisposed to go into a sort of the human version of hibernation. And that is a theory of depression and other sorts of mental health issues, along with just general fatigue, that much of that ends up being based on the fact that our bodies are responding to the fact that it thinks we're in that sort of winter stage where we're supposed to, be taking in fewer calories and resting, given our history as hunter-gatherers and how much time we spent in the summer months running around needing that energy, but then in the winter months needing to kind of hunker down and chill out and not burn as many calories. So all that's to say, this app is more about just being active and getting out there and doing those things. And then it gives you space so that if you don't get out there, do some exercise today, you're not suddenly losing this streak and you're being shamed for not keeping going and all that stuff, but instead that you can celebrate the activity that you are doing, the actions that you are taking. I think that makes it a pretty cool app, and it works very well with both on the Apple Watch, but with the Apple Health app, so that you get those integrations and you can see how you're doing as you are running or working out. It is available for free in the App Store. There is a subscription. The yearly plan, if you buy it, pay one time a year, is $24.99. If you pay per month, it's $7.99. And there is a one-time lifetime purchase that, according to the App Store, there are two different versions. So I'm not sure which one you'll get. It could be that there's one that costs less, given if you've kind of signed up in the first place. All right. I think it is time for us to take a quick break, and then we will come back with even more as we cover the apps and games of the year per Apple. So before that, though, I would like to tell you about IT Pro TV, who are bringing you this episode of iOS Today. Yes, it is IT Pro TV. And now I need to pull up the copy. I was so close to being there. All right. Whether you're new to the IT field or you are a seasoned pro, doesn't matter, because IT Pro TV's online IT training courses can change your life. They offer virtual learning solutions for everyone. That means IT training videos that are created to keep you entertained and to get you learning every vendor and skill you need to start or advance your IT career. It's done in a talk show format that keeps you interested in the content and excited to learn about what you are studying. So you feel like, oh yeah, I'm ready to tackle this. I want to learn more. IT Pro TV has more than 5,800 hours of IT training with current content added daily. So that means the courses are always up to date. You can binge in 20 to 30-minute episodes. There's an interactive IT virtual lab for many of the courses. So IT Pro TV actually sets itself apart with these hands-on learning methods via these hosted virtual labs. You can get on-demand access to cloned virtual machine environments to test the skills you're learning. I think that's such a cool idea that you can actually, make use of this technology as you're going and learn hands-on. IT certification practice tests are also available, so you can take and retake these tests to make sure you're ready, that you're confident before you sit for the exam. And then join the online community of IT learners. There are more than 220,000 people in the communities, so you can share in the forums and engage with the instructors directly. And then you also get to learn when and where you want, whether that be on the desktop, sitting in front of the Apple TV or Roku while you're on your couch, or while you're on the road, you can use your tablet, your mobile device. Don't pay for a university degree just to work in IT. Don't do it. You can stay focused on tech with affordable certification-based learning that will get you a job. That's the point. You get the certification, you've got the proof that you can do the job. Tim Broom, the co-founder of IT Pro TV, says it best himself. Look, we want to make life easier for people who want an IT career. It's as simple as that. Get 30% off when you sign up at itpro.tv/twit and use the code TWIT30. That's 30% off when you sign up at itpro.tv/twit and use code TWIT30. IT Pro TV. Build or expand your IT career and enjoy the journey. Thanks so much to IT Pro TV for sponsoring this week's episode of iOS Today. Back to the show. And let's continue down the list here. I'm going to briefly mention the iPhone Game of the Year, as it is not a game that I personally know much about, but I know is very popular among many people. It's Apex Legends, and Apex Legends Mobile on the iPhone, of course, makes use of the technology available in an iPhone to give a very high quality experience with reflections from the water and making use of that bigger screen to give you the little controls that you need while you're playing on it. I don't know much about playing on mobile. I'll be honest with you, but from opening, I downloaded the app, I opened it, and I was looking at it, and I was pretty surprised at what they're able to achieve there on the screen. So yeah, do you have any thoughts about it?
Not really. I've just never really been into this sort of game all that much, but I do know several folks who've played this and said that they really enjoy it, and it's a great game to have on your phone and play. I believe it is actually available on other platforms as well. It's from EA Games, who are pretty well known for making things across platforms. So you may find that you've seen this somewhere else, and can actually get it on your phone. Don't forget, you can connect like an Xbox controller, Nintendo Switch Pro controller, or a PlayStation controller to your phone, which kind of makes up for the small size of the screen, because at least then you're not blocking it with your thumbs.
There you go. Then we've got the iPad Game of the Year. This is Moncage, and it is a puzzle game that is, I think, a pretty interesting one. If I remember correctly, I may have brought this app up before, but I have launched it here. And of course, we've got our general splash screens, and the app encourages you to use headphones because of how audio can play a factor. So I will tap on the screen to start, and we'll see what we're working with here. So on the screen right now, there is a sort of digital camera, and I am being told to slide the display to rotate, tap on the screen to zoom in. So what I've done is, as I've twisted, rotated around, I find that it changes from a camera in a box to suddenly a sort of portal through one side of the box into another room. And if I tap on what I'm seeing, it's like shelves, and there's a red container. If I tap on that red container, it zooms in, And then you also tap to interact. So it's kind of giving me a hint that I should tap on that handle to open up the container. And then it says rotate to connect the matching parts. So I'm going to rotate it so that the truck, so when I opened the box, there was a teddy bear, some books, some shirts, and a bus, or a little van rather, inside of the box. And as I rotate the box now, there's a new side that is opened up that has the other side of a kind of dump truck. So what I need to do is try to rotate the box so that the two match. And now I've created a kind of dump truck that has some stones inside that is moving along a city. Oh no, the bridge is broken. So what do I need to do here? Let's see. I double tap to zoom out. So I will, okay, let me come back. So now I've zoomed out of the box, and now there's so much more. Hold with 2 fingers to focus on essential objects. So there's a little hint showing, hey, here's some stuff that you might want to interact with. And as I zoom in on the desk, I can see if there's something there that might help, and I'm not seeing anything. So I will zoom back out. And oh, there's a little handle down here that I can twist, and that changes the side.
At the very least, you could use the life buoy if you needed to
that's a good buoy, yeah,
for the driver. So
maybe
it's the piece of wood that's blocking the door there, Mikah, that you need.
It could be. Oh man. So that's. Oh! I think. There we go. And now I can tap on that object to scoot it forward. So for folks who are listening, there was this little sort of, I don't know, a hatch on the bottom of the floor in the building. And by lining up the sides of the screen, I was able to then tap on that hatch and slide it forward, which then slid the truck across the bridge that was once broken. So that gives you an idea of Moncage. I think it's a very clever and beautifully designed game that works well on the iPad because you've got a lot more room to kind of move around and rotate as you're playing it. It's so clever and is available in the App Store. I'm having trouble seeing that. It's a little on the screen. For $3.99. It's currently rated number 2 in the puzzle category. So that is no surprise that it is the App Store iPad Game of the Year. Brief mention for the Mac Game of the Year, which goes to Inscryption. Inscryption is a game. Let me see what Apple has to say in the readout for this. And now I'm having trouble. There we go. The surprises never stop in this deep deck building adventure. This game is available on the Mac App Store for $20, $19.99, and you are working through this sort of it's kind of a puzzle game, but it's also a deck builder. So you have kind of escape room style puzzles while you're building out a deck, and it's a bit of also a psychological horror. So they have grafted together a whole bunch of different genres to create this game. In fact, it says, in Inscryption, you will acquire a deck of woodland creature cards by draft, surgery, and self-mutilation. You will unlock the secrets lurking behind the walls of Leshy's cabin, and you will embark on an unexpected and deeply disturbing odyssey. If that sounds like something you'd like to do, you could get it right now for $19.99. It is currently 30% off. So now would be the time to grab it. I don't really think it's my kind of game, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I have to say, Mikah, I'm not sure it's mine either, but the good news is there's plenty of others, including Apple has an arcade game pick, which we've featured before. So I'll just quickly mention it. It's Wylde Flowers, Wylde Flowers. And I believe that this, Mikah, is a game that you've actually enjoyed playing quite a bit. But
yes.
What's great about it is because it's Apple Arcade, it's available on all the platforms. So if you want to play it on the Mac, you can play it on the Mac, or you can play it on iPhone, iPad, or even Apple TV.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wylde Flowers is a fun little kind of RPG and it's a resource management game. You create little garden. You plant stuff in your garden, and you are kind of living. You've gone from the big city to move to a smaller place to help your grandmother, and your grandmother's a witch, and you are maybe a witch. It's a bit of a mystery as well, but you collect herbs and different resources. You can start creating buildings and items that help you create other items. I don't know why, but that is my game type. I love these games where as you're going, you create new tools that help you create new tools that help you create new tools that then, help you get to the next step in the game or make money or whatever it is that you have to do. I love that. So this kind of game is right up my alley. And it's also got a great story to go along with it. Super diverse and inclusive, and celebrates all of that. So I quite like it. And I'm glad that it's made the Apple Arcade Game of the Year. The Apple TV Game of the Year is El Hijo. And it is a game that I think plays well on the Apple TV. It is there are some games where they are made for iOS, iPadOS first and foremost, but then you can also, you can play them on the Apple TV. This one plays very well on the Apple TV. And again, that's why I'm not surprised that it has gotten this pick. And it is a stealth adventure, which because of that, you're not going out and trying to fight. You're really trying to sneak around and be clever about getting to the next place. El Hijo is only 6 years old and has to kind of go along and make it to the next stage of the game. It's a game about building self-confidence, about playing it smart and work to escape. This is an interesting story about a farmer and her child are attacked by bandits. They completely destroy their farm, and in order to protect her son, she takes the boy to a monastery, but the monastery seems a little off. And so the boy kind of gets some bad vibes about it, and things go from there. I don't want to spoil it, but this is really, really, I think, beautifully designed game, and I think anybody would have fun playing it on iPhone, iPad, but especially Apple TV. It's available for $9.99 in the App Store. So definitely check it out. El Hijo. So cute. All right. Then let's see what we've got next. That was the Apple TV Game of the Year. We're down into our cultural impact winners. And these are the apps or games that Apple is highlighting because they are the editors, the App Store editors actually selected these games because they had a lasting impact on people's lives and influenced the culture. That's directly from Apple's newsroom post. So it says, this year's winners encourage users to engage more deeply with their emotions, authentically connect with others, and pay homage to their heritage and the generations that came before them while envisioning how to create a better world today. The first one, I had never heard of this app, and I think it's a pretty cool app. It's called How We Feel. And How We Feel is let me see, I'm trying to make it work on the iPad, and it's not really trying to do that. So How We Feel is an app that is all about kind of focusing on one's emotions. And that is the primary kind of interaction with the app. You have different options that you can select. So you can say, today is a high energy, stressful. I'm feeling high energy, stressful, or I'm feeling low energy and stressful. I'm feeling high, or I can't remember what exactly they are, but you dig down into what exactly you're feeling with these words that you use. And then as you dig down and you select kind of your specific feeling at the moment, it will ask you where you are, what you're doing, and what you have done. And by doing that, it prompts you a couple of times a day, And you can start to get a trend. You can start to learn, every day on Tuesday at 3 p.m., you say that you're feeling this way. And then I could look at my calendar and go, it's probably because of this, or look at sort of maybe I drink coffee right before that. And so it's, anxiety caused by too much caffeine or whatever. But it also has a built-in set of tools to help you with the different emotions that you're experiencing. So it's not just, hey, let's keep track of how you're feeling, but it's also how you can kind of work through those emotions and work on those strategies. I wish I could show it to you on this iPhone.
I have it on my iPhone actually, so I can show it off.
Please do.
So I haven't used this app before, but I do want to actually start using it. I like the idea of tracking how you feel and seeing how it correlates with your life. I've got options of high energy versus low energy and pleasant and unpleasant as a sort of Franklin Covey matrix, urgent, important, not urgent, not important. And so I'm going to say that I have high energy for recovering from flu at any rate. And I'm feeling pleasant because I'm recording iOS today. And it's now taken that one yellow bubble that I tapped, and it's given me lots more yellow bubbles. So I've got options like surprised, excited, determined, successful, eager, curious, upbeat, but I can still scroll and pan around and look for calm, relaxed, fatigued, forlorn, worried, repulsed, jealous. I think everyone's just jealous of us because we get to host the great show. So I'm going to go with enthusiastic. And I'm just going to save that. And so after I've done 3 check-ins, it said it's going to be able to start showing me trends. But I think that this is just a nice idea of, doing this. If anybody's signed up for Apple Music before, where it pops up and it asks you what kind of artists you like. And so you can tap once to like an artist, or you can double tap to really love an artist. It's a similar sort of thing to that. And I like the idea of just it gets bigger when you tap on it and gives you more options. So this is pretty cool. I'm definitely going to be trying this one out.
Yes, me too. Once I saw it, I immediately was going, and it'll also integrate with the Apple Health app. So it can kind of pay attention to if you've exercised and give you some insight on that as well. The next one I'll mention is called Dots Home. This is a game that is looking at systemic housing injustices and the impact that it has on communities of color. So this is kind of a preview of the game. I've launched the game, and it has it plays out entirely with dialogue, with conversations as you're moving through these spaces. So I'm going to skip through this just so you can kind of see what the game looks like. And so we'll start a new game here, and it says, I need to get home. And so now I'm able to move to hopefully find where Dot lives. And so we're going to walk forward. There we go. Now we're getting into a town, or not a town, but we're moving out of the city into some housing. I wonder if this is Dot's home. So I can move forward. Are you kidding me? I swear I left this door unlocked. Geez, Grandma can't keep a door open for nothing around here. Now I got to find the right key. So now we need to see which key will fit the door. Let's just try the red one and see if that fits. I guessed correctly. It was the red key. Grandma, why'd you lock the door? I was only gone for a minute. It's not even dark yet. Grandma says, Dorothea, now you know an unlocked door is an open invitation to trouble. I've lived here long enough to know the neighborhood's changing. Whatever you say, Grandma. I wonder what those papers are for. So let's tap on the papers and see. Speaking of changes, I keep seeing those cash for keys flyers everywhere on this block. You're telling me some of them even have the nerve to call me. For everyone I block, 3 more replace them. Do you ever think about selling the house? Sometimes, but where else would I go? Somewhere whose streets I don't know? I've started over too many times in my life, and I'm too old to do it again. I thought old was a cuss word. Only if it comes from you, says Grandma. Right. She said...
Well,
Grandma
Thanks,
says,
post-Thanksgiving family tips there.
yeah, exactly. Grandma says, y'all millenniums. Of course, that's millennials. Anyway, I'm not going to go through the whole dialogue here. That's part of the game, and I don't want to spoil that. But you can play Dots Home to learn more about, in particular, these injustices that may take place. Now, this is available for free. There are no in-app purchases, so you're able to check this out entirely for free. And I should mention that same goes for How We Feel. How We Feel is completely funded by donations. So if you want to check it out, you should definitely check it out. And if you can, make a donation to keep it free. Dots Home is available on lots of different platforms, it looks like. So if you want to get it kind of in the Steam store or something like that as well, you can. The next one we'll mention is an app that I think I remember becoming quite popular. It's called Locket Widget. And this was when widgets first came to the iPhone, these live tiles essentially that you would have on your home screen. And this one in particular allowed you to send photos that you wanted to your friends. So you add them to your history, or rather you add them to your friends list, and then you can, let me fix this here. So I am going to take a photo right now, and then I am going to send it to Rosemary, who is currently my friend in this, and I will tap to send that. And if Rosemary had that widget on her home screen or on her screen somewhere, then that widget will actually update with that photo that I sent. So this is a fun way to kind of, I think about this especially with grandparents who may have a device where you could send photos of the kids to them that regularly get updated, or parents or whomever, your significant other. And so then you just get to regularly check that little widget and see the widgets coming in from your friends. I'm sad to say that I don't yet have a photo from Rosemary from my widget.
I will have to fix that, Mikah. I have not necessarily been feeling my super best self, but this reminds me a little bit of those digital photo frames that you could upload photos to automatically. Like this strikes me as a slightly more modern version of those. So I'm just going to try taking that picture from Mikah. Let's see if I can get a colorful octopus behind me. And send. There we go.
Yay.
Fingers crossed your widget will update now, Mikah.
Yes, soon, I imagine. And I think that I'm not sure how it does that refresh in the background. But there we go. Now on my screen is a lovely photo of Rosemary on this iPad. Delightful. I think this is a very, very, very cool idea for an app. And again, I remember where it just kind of like ran across the internet. Everybody was checking it out. Everybody wanted it. It is also available for free, no in-app purchases. And yeah, very easy to set up and use. Actually, there are, I guess, two more. The one we'll talk about is called Waterllama. And Waterllama is a way for you to track your daily intake of different fluids. Obviously, the primary intake is going to be water. And so we've got the Waterllama here. My unit of measure here in the US is ounces, liquid ounces. And I will tap the plus button and I will say, yes, I've consumed 12 ounces of water. And then I will set up a smart reminder that reminds me to drink water regularly. Now, here's what's kind of cool. I can change my character. So I could do the llama, but I could also do other characters as I unlock them based on me taking in the water. And then I can also unlock other substances or other fluids as well. So green tea, coffee, juice, smoothie, and milk. What I think is super cool is that this goes farther than just being a water tracker. Down here, you've got the escape caffeine cappuccino. So if I wanted to, I could keep track of, this is a 10-day challenge where you where you try to drink less caffeine. And so here it will help you kind of reduce the amount of caffeine you're intaking. T-Rex, where you are meant to drink tea instead of water, or rather drink tea along with other things. And so there are different kinds of tea. Drink at least 1 cup of any tea each day. And then you can do that. The No Cheat Cheetah, which is a way to kind of cut out, it looks like, sugary beverages. Lose lactose platypus. So you get the idea. As you're going through here, you can see some different options to help you do the habit that you're trying to build. And so then at any time, I can go ahead and add more water. I think we'll do another 12 ounces. And as it goes, it starts to build. You can also add a widget to your home screen or your lock screen, so you can keep track of your llama there. And then once it fills, then, of course, there's a little celebration because you have filled up the water. So that's Waterllama. That makes it so fun to keep track of your intake.
I should note it's free to download. There's for me at least in the UK, £3.99 in-app purchase for an annual subscription. But it also syncs with Apple Health, which means that if you have other things to integrate with Apple Health as well, then it'll be getting that water data in there and back out. But not only does it sync with Apple Health, I've got it here on my iPhone, so I can just pop up in settings. There's also a further sync option, which means that any data that you input on your iPad can then sync back to your iPhone and then from there into Health, because the Health app is only available on your iPhone. So that's pretty cool. And I also found when having a quick look that they also have a period tracker. So if you know somebody who needs to track menstruation or wants help with tracking menstruation, then that might be worth a pick because it looks kind of fun. So yeah, I love the idea of adding more llamas to my life. Maybe not so much drama llama, but definitely fun llama.
Yes, that is fantastic. That I think it's so cute. It's such a delightful little app. And then the last one is Inua, a story in ice and time. And this is a story. It says, a story in ice and time provides an engaging mystical adventure for users to explore historical events that weave in elements of Inuit traditions, folklore, and breathtaking tales. So I will launch this on the iPad. And you can see, okay, yeah, cool. The game saves your information automatically. And of course, lots of splash screens. But let's get into the game itself, just so we can kind of see a little bit of the interaction. And so now we're loading. This is a game that, of course, is going to have some fun visuals and looks to be built with the story in mind for sure. So we've got a person pulling a ship through what I at first thought was ice, but now it's clearly some sort of skeleton graveyard of mammoths or something like that. And the person is falling down into the water, sinking deeper and deeper. And then they reach an area that I can't tell if it's at the bottom of the ocean or if it is. No, it doesn't appear to be at the bottom of the ocean. I guess time has elapsed. And now there is a person who is filming with an old school camera, this really cool symbol that looks kind of like a sun, like the sun in the sky. And now we've got the Northern Lights with that symbol in the sky and somebody with red hair walking away from a boat. And now there's a person in Inuit clothing handing over what appears to be fire or warmth. And a polar bear that's been killed.
Poor polar bear.
That's so sad. That poor polar bear. And the whole thing is just a video. No, I'm kidding. We're getting there now. So I think this is going to kick off the gameplay here with the polar bear in the sky. This life was explained to me through the story. Okay, I think it'll be a while before the game actually kicks off. None are like the colossal bear. So this is a kind of tap to play game that is really focused on story. So now we're showing on the screen kind of some of the interactions. You're moving between these different spaces with different cutscenes, and you're looking for little clues and methods of interaction that exist in different places. So it's a bit of a puzzle game, a search and find game, and you build out the story as you go along. So that is Inua, A Story in Ice and Time. And that brings us to the end of the list of the App Store Awards for the best apps and games of 2022. Definitely check out as many as you can. Let us know what you think about them. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. And if you thought anything was left off the list, we'd love to hear about that. You thought, oh, that definitely should have been an app or game of the year. I don't know why that's not there. I'd love to hear more about that. But it is time for us to take another quick break before we come back with Shortcuts Corner, with a very exciting Shortcuts Corner. So before we do that, let me tell you about 8 Sleep, who are bringing you this episode of iOS Today. I have a great idea for you if you're thinking about the holidays and what you're going to give to the folks around you. Why not give them the never-ending gift of deeper sleep? Because with it, you are aware that you're handing over better health. Consistent good sleep can help reduce the likelihood of serious health issues. It can decrease the risk of heart disease. It can lower blood pressure. It can even reduce the risk of Alzheimer's. I have talked a lot about my 8 Sleep pod, which I put on my mattress. So it kind of fits over the top of the mattress. And it is the difference between me falling and staying asleep or not falling and staying asleep. I used to sleep so warm, I'd wake up in the middle of the night and kind of have to get up and cool off. I don't have to worry about that now because of the thermoregulation of the 8 Sleep pod. It's just... It's magical. In fact, last week, I believe I sold one of these to my co-host at the time, Christopher Lawley, based on the conversation that we had about the 8 Sleep device. I just think sleep is so important, and 8 Sleep can help you do what you need to do to fall asleep better. I am falling asleep in record time faster than ever before, and that is because of the 8 Sleep pod. The 8 Sleep pod is a tech layer that fits onto your mattress like a fitted sheet. The pod dynamically cools and heats each side of the bed, so you can maintain the optimal sleeping temperature for what your body needs. With the pod, you can start sleeping as cool as 55 degrees Fahrenheit, nice and chilly, or as hot as 110 degrees Fahrenheit. What you get is clinical data showing that 8 Sleep users experience up to 34% more deep sleep. That is so important because deep sleep is the stage of sleep where your body is restoring itself. It is recycling, it is repairing, it is doing all those things that it needs to do so that you're at your best and you are able to tackle the world. With more deep sleep, that means that you can be confident, your mind, your body are moving through the restorative sleep stages, those ones that you need for physical recovery, for hormone regulation, and for mental clarity. And this isn't a holiday miracle, folks, even though it may sound like one. If better sleep is on your wish list, look no further than the new Pod 3. Pod 3 with more sensors than ever before. For a limited time, 8 Sleep is offering listeners of TWiT, this is a limited time deal, up to $400 off their Sleep Fit holiday bundle, which includes my personal favorite, the pod cover. That's what I've got on my mattress. You can go to 8sleep.com/iOS to get the exclusive holiday savings. 8 Sleep currently ships within the USA, Canada, the UK, select countries in the EU, and Australia. Once again, that URL, 8sleep.com/iOS. For real, go there. If you're listening after November 30th, use the same URL, 8sleep.com/iOS, to check out the pod cover and look for other exclusive holiday savings, or you can save the standard $150 at checkout with the normal offer. Thank you, 8 Sleep, for sponsoring this week's episode of iOS Today and for making it so that I can sleep and sleep well, sleep heavily. It's amazing. All right, we are back from the break and I can hear the music because it's time for Shortcuts Corner. This is the part of the show where you write in with your Shortcuts Corner requests, and Rosemary Orchard, the Shortcuts expert, provides a response. This first one is very exciting. It's been 2 weekends now. A couple of weekends ago, Steve Martin, yes, the Steve Martin, actor and comedian and art collector, called into the Tech Guy radio show and asked some tech questions. Turns out Steve's pretty geeky. He knows a thing or three about tech. And so these were, kind of complicated questions, all a lot of fun to try and tackle. And one of the questions that he had related to some shortcuts that he used, which when he said, Mikah, I made some shortcuts. And I said, wait, what? You make, that's amazing. So yeah, Steve Martin is a shortcuts guy. Anyway, he created a shortcut that is, I think, a pretty clever one for basically making it simpler to send an email. Right now on my phone, if I wanted to send an email, I would launch my email application. I would tap the new email. I would type in the person's contact details. I would type in the subject, and then I would type the message that I wanted to send in the email. That's complicated. That involves a lot of steps. And so Steve Martin said, I regularly email these people. I want a button that I can press to send them an email. So what Steve did was he created a shortcut that let him tap on it, and up popped the compose sheet, which is standard if you're using the kind of built-in email writing method. And then he would type in a message. His problem was that if he was typing a message that said, Sylvia just called and would like to have lunch at 2 p.m. and then he goes, wait, what's the restaurant? I don't remember. So he pops out to go look up what the restaurant is and then comes back, but he can't come back because it's a modal dialogue that just goes away. So Steve was asking for a way to have that shortcut, but keep the mail, the writing that he had done kind of there so that he could come back to it. So Leo said, hey, Mikah Sargent hosts a show called iOS Today with a shortcuts expert, Rosemary Orchard. I bet they would be able to help you out with this. And I said, yes, I do bet that Rosemary would be able to help you out with this. And so we got the shortcuts from Steve Martin. I passed them along to Rosemary. I talked about what Steve was looking for. And of course, Rosemary solved it in a few ways, but I'd love for you to tell everybody kind of what your process has been.
Yeah, so I'll start by showing folks the actual shortcut that Steve had, or more or less the shortcut, obviously, for logical reasons. When you share a shortcut, even if you've selected a contact here, so I've actually selected the Mikah Sargent contact, that doesn't actually get sent out with my shortcut. So, I didn't actually have the ability to email Steve's wife, which is probably a good thing because I don't really want to email strangers. But I've set up this shortcut to be very similar. So it's sending an empty message. It's not actually sending anything. It's got Mikah selected. I've got a subject that I've typed in as Hi Mikah, and it's got show compose sheet on. So what would happen is Steve would run the shortcut and it would pop up with something like this, and he'd type probably something actually sensible rather than nonsense like I've just done. And then he'd swipe, but you notice I had to swipe up twice there. Once got rid of the email, and then the next time opened, the home screen. Now, the good news is actually if I open Mail, and then if I tap and hold, this is on the iPad, if I tap and hold on the pencil, it should give me the option of actually showing me the draft. It's not doing that right now, but it does at the very least on the iPad, on the iPhone, when you open an app there. When you open Mail, it pops up sort of in the bottom with that. So you can get to the draft. And I mean, that's okay. But there are a couple of different ways of fixing this. So I had one approach where when he ran it, it would work pretty much the same way, except it would start with a menu and say, okay, do you want to start a new one, or do you want to resume writing? And if you said resume, it would just open Mail. And so you could find the draft, and you can even open, say, the drafts folder. But then I thought, why not just open Mail straight away with that? Instead of, monkeying around. So I've got two different approaches for this. And what you can do is just, have an email input, and then so I will just where has my keyboard is not showing in the correct way, so I'm just going to see if I can get that to actually pop up. It's being a little silly. Show keyboard. Well, it's not giving me an ask for each time, but you could actually have it say, pop up and select contact, and then you can just use this great thing called a URL scheme. And people are going, wait, URL schemes? Or some people are going, wait, URL schemes? Those old things? So URLs are, HTTP, probably with an S, / www.twit.tv, for example, or twit.tv/iOS. But ignoring the HTTP, possibly with an S side of it, a URL scheme doesn't necessarily mean internet or web. It can actually mean, hey, thing, go do this. So instead of www. In fact, the HTTP, you can actually have, for example, mail to. If you have mail to : then that's going to be an email link. And this works everywhere. Okay, this works on Windows, this works on Linux, this works on Mac, this works on iPhone and iPad. And if you just have this typed somewhere, so if I had mail to iOS at twit.tv, or iOS today at twit.tv, and I put that somewhere and you clicked on that, no matter what device you were on, if you had an email application or something configured for email, it should pop open and start a new email. And you can actually go a little bit further with that. And you can actually even add subjects and bodies. So what I did, because I thought that this would be the best idea, is actually I built a way to create a mail to link on your iPhone. So there are websites out there that can do this, but I thought it would be a fun shortcuts exercise. So what happens is it pops up, it asks you to choose a contact. Okay, it then gets the email addresses from that contact. If you have more than one email address for that contact, it's going to ask you which email address you want to email. Okay, so if I have 2 email addresses for Mikah, it'll ask me which one it is that it wants me to pick. Okay, and then it'll ask for the subject. Okay, and then it offers me the option of putting a template email body in. Okay, so if I just pop open mail to illustrate this, we've got the to field, we've got the subject field, and we've got the body field. Okay, which is the bit above sent from my iPad if you're watching the video. So each of these can be filled out, including CC and BCC. And so what I've done is I've built this and I've put it together and I've just copied it, because then what you can do is actually, you can then just end up, pasting this URL that you've built into a shortcut. For example, here would be a text, and then you can just use the open URL action. And I feel like I ought to mention for folks that there is actually an action called open callback URL. This one, scripting your action, open X callback URL. In this case, even though we're technically using a URL scheme, we don't want to do that, because what a callback URL does, emphasis on the back, it brings you back to where you started from. Okay, and so if you just use open URL, which would be the text. So if I had iOS today at twit.tv here, then when I run this, then voila, it's just open mail for me. So I'm now straight in mail, and this is a great solution for a lot of people, because it now means that you can do whatever it is you need, and when you stop and you go to another app to find some information, I'm looking in the settings app to see whether or not there's an update I need to install, and then I can go back and type, yes, I need to install an update.
It's still there.
So yeah, and I think that this is probably the easiest solution for a lot of folks. Sometimes you can go super nerdy and super cool and do things with all the fancy new technologies, and sometimes it's the tried and tested ones that do the trick.
So in what case would you want to use the callback URL?
So, for example, if like me, you use an app called Agenda for note-taking. Agenda has great URL scheme support, and you can use that to, for example, create a note and get the ID of it. And when you get the ID, you're going to want to go back so that you can use that ID in something else. So you can, run a series of commands. And this is how everything on iPhone automation-wise for many folks was done before shortcuts came along. If anybody remembers Launch Center Pro and apps like that, they all worked based on with URL schemes. So it's a case of like, hey, go here and do the thing, and then bring me back as soon as you're done. And nowadays we can use shortcuts for most of this, so it happens in the background. But in this case, we just want to open mail. So why not just open mail?
Yeah, that's perfect. That is, and I love that it ended up being such a simple solution. We are going to forward that along to Steve Martin, and he'll be well on his way to emailing. Now, this next one comes from an absolute fool of a human being.
I'm not sure about that.
So I was looking to work a shortcut. And so I texted Rosemary because I was having trouble. I said, "What am I doing wrong here?" Sobbing face emoji. "I just want to create a shortcut that takes a URL, scans the web page for images, and presents those linked images to me so I can choose which ones to download." Now, to be clear, what I mean when I said scans the web page for images, which Rosemary thoughtfully translated automatically, is it's looking at the code that makes up the website and finding all of the images that are referenced, and then presents them to me in kind of a picker that I can then choose from. And I had a shortcut that was nearly there. I had created a shortcut called Get Images from Web Page, and it was a share sheet shortcut. It got the URLs from the input. So when I use a share sheet to share it to this specific shortcut, it grabbed that URL and then get contents of URL. So what that does is it actually does a full-on, what are those called? HTTP request?
So it does a GET request.
GET request. Okay. Yeah. And then the next action that I added was choose from contents of URL. So I was thinking that it would then present all of the photos that were part of the web page that I was on, and I could choose which ones I wanted, and then save those, the ones that I had picked, to my recents album in my photo library. But when I ran this shortcut, it wouldn't work because for some reason it was just getting the URL itself, or that's what it appeared to be doing. So I even went as far as I did some troubleshooting where I had it show me the result of some of the steps and kind of like stop the shortcut there. Mm-hmm. And it was just showing me that it was only grabbing the URL. And I thought, what am I doing wrong? So Rosemary, what was I doing wrong?
Well, Mikah, you missed one small but crucial step. There is a great action in shortcuts. In fact, there's a great series of actions in shortcuts called get blah, blah, blah from input. And blah, blah, blah could be get text from input, get images from input, or various other things. And what Mikah needed was get images from input. Because if you've got the whole web page, then you've got text. You've got a URL, you've got the web page as sort of an object, and then you've got the images inside of that. And so get images from input can then just go, okay, hey, web page, I'm going to chuck you through a giant sieve or a colander maybe, and I just want the pictures to come out the other side. And so that's what it can do. And then you can choose from them, select them, and save them. But until you've done the get something from input, it's really tricky. Now, I do actually just want to mention, because there's a great action for this in shortcuts for debugging, that there is, anytime that you've got something like a web page, it's not just a web page because it's got the URL, it's got the text and so on. And there is this great action called the content graph, where you can actually sort of see a visual representation of what this is. And of course, it's not showing up for me now, but it's one of the scripting actions. There it is, view content graph. So if I had, say, a URL, and I will just add a get contents of web page after that one as well, then I can actually show folks what this looks like. Where did it go? Nope, not get headers of URL. That was very close. Get contents of URL. Perfect. So I will just pop in twit.tv/iOS. If I could actually type that, that would be even better, wouldn't it, Mikah? You know, funny how if you put your fingers on the wrong keys, it won't do anything. So this has got, the web page. Okay, so the content graph right now is showing me HTML thing. Okay, so I tap on it, and now it's popped me into this sort of blob land of interconnected options. So I can see that there's rich text there, and then there's images, and then there's a PDF version of that image, because that image could be turned into a PDF, and then there's text which can also get turned into a PDF. From the URL, you've also from the webpage, you've also got the URL, which funnily enough is text, which can become a PDF, or it can just straight up become a PDF. You've got a PDF version of this and so on. So you can actually see like the different elements. Now, I don't expect anybody to completely understand all of the different aspects of this and why all of those are there. I don't quite know how it's built and how it works myself, but I do know that this is a really useful little tool for trying to figure out like, what is it that I've got? Like, are there images in here somewhere? Like, could I get to them? Turns out, yeah, you can. You just need to get images from input.
Beautiful. And that brings us to the end of Shortcuts Corner. Just one bit of feedback we'll talk about this week. This is from, which one was it that we wanted to do?
We were going to look at the feedback from Bill, because you answered his question last week, and he wanted to say thanks.
Yes. Okay. So Bill has written in to say, hey, thank you so much for the advice. Apple support has recommended a network reset, and so far it hasn't happened again yet. Been watching your show since Leo and Sarah, back when it was called iPad Today. Bill had written in to ask about Bill has an M1 iPad Pro, and none of the video was working properly. There was something weird where video apps just did not show the content, FaceTime and Netflix, Hulu, all sorts of stuff. And so I had suggested restoring the device's operating system, but it appeared that a network reset was what was needed, and I'm glad that worked, that did it. All right, up next will be our app caps, the part of the show where we wear caps and honor our app picks of the week. It is time for the app cap segment. The holidays are upon us, and it is time to celebrate our app caps this week. These are the apps or gadgets we are using now or have been using for some time that we want to share with all of you because we think they're awesome. Rosemary Orchard, tell us about the lovely, delightful cap atop your head, and then tell us about your app or gadget pick of the week.
All right. Well, the cap atop my head doesn't quite coordinate with my lovely black hoodie because it's navy, but it's got gingerbread men on it. It's like a knitted sort of beanie hat. It's really fine knit, and it's got a pom-pom on the top as well with red, green, and white in it, and some sort of Fair Isle pattern around the front because it is officially getting to that time of year. I went outside earlier today, and it was really cold, but I had my hat, so I was all ready to go. And my pick this week is something I've had my eye on for a little while. And it is the Belkin secure holder for with Carabiner for AirTag. So Belkin make a number of different AirTag holders, and they are a little pricier than just the average one that you can pick up off Amazon. But this is my third different kind of Belkin secure tag, and I have to say I really like them. So I've got the one that attaches to the suitcase. I featured that one on the show before as an app cap. I've got just the standard sort of keychain ones, and now I have the Carabiner one because I realized that when I'm traveling or like doing things, like I have an AirTag that is technically like my handbag AirTag, but the problem is it kind of was ending up like loose in pouches and so on, and I just wanted a way to just be able to just quickly like attach it to something. So the carabiner on this, I have to say, like, you're not going to be going rock climbing with this thing. Obviously, it's not rated for that, but it is a very strong spring. Like I'm actually having to like work at this to like push it, and if I just like try a little bit, then it really doesn't go very far. So it's not going to come off of this easily. Nice. And now that the AirTag is in here, I can't actually get it out. And that's by design. What you need to do is you need to get a coin or a key or something similar, and then pop it into the base of this. There's a flat area there where you can open it. So, obviously this is a carabiner. If somebody wanted to remove your AirTag, then they could just detach the carabiner. But your AirTag is not going to get lost easily, which is definitely a winner and an important thing. But I really like this. I got the blue one. And I have to say, these are $20. They're $19.99, but they are currently still on sale for Black Friday, and you can usually pick them up cheaper on Amazon. But there's a green one for Mikah. And I have to say, it's a very nice shade of green. I've seen it in a few places. I'm more of a blue, purple kind of person. If they'd had purple, obviously I was going to get that. But I was hoping this blue would be a little more purple, just like my keychain one is. Sadly not, but it's a nice shade of blue. I really like it. And you know what? I now have a way of attaching my AirTag inside or onto bags. Like I have a little pouch here, which I have various little bits of kit in there. So I've got a pop socket battery pack from Anchor in here. And I have my DJI Osmo Pocket, which, I definitely don't want to lose. I also have a little travel charger. So, if I had like a little, I often use this bag actually on planes, not necessarily with that exact gear in it, but like for the things that I might need in flight. That's the sort of time where I would then pull that AirTag out of my main bag and then just pop it onto this, because this is the thing that I'm opening and this is the thing that I might leave on the seat. And if I did, I'd want to get a notification from my AirTag. So yay, one AirTag with Carabiner and optional slick wraps or deburns sticker on the back to make it easier to open when you need to take the battery out. But there we go.
That is very cool. And that, you are so right. That green is a really good green. All right. My app cap my cap on my head this week is a baseball cap / Santa Claus hat. It says Happy Holidays, and the little vent holes on the baseball cap are up higher. It's quite fun. I believe my mom sent me this one year for iOS today, actually. The gadget that I want to talk about is a gadget that's been out for a while, and I may have even had it be an app cap in the past, but it is well worth mentioning again. And the reason why I want to mention it is because Wemo, from Belkin, typically ends up disappointing me. The internet connected, Wi-Fi connected smart devices for the smart home that they have, I have had more trouble with those devices than I have any other brand, be it incredibly inexpensive or expensive, doesn't matter. Wemo, for some reason, just absolute, and I hate to say this word, but it's true, absolute garbage in most cases. And so I do not recommend them ever to anyone because of the, from years of use, from ones that I've had for a while to ones that I tried again later on by getting a new one. All of them ended up just not working as expected. I ended up taking out a smart switch that I had from Belkin because it just never worked properly. So all of that said, it must be that the thing I'm about to mention is very good if I am willing to talk about it, given that it comes from Wemo. And I think the reason why it's so good is because it has almost no interaction with Belkin's Wemo system. It is the Belkin Wemo Stage Scene Controller, and this is a little remote device. It's a stateless smart switch. It has 3 buttons on it, and each of those buttons have 3 different gestures. They have a single press, they have a double press, and they have a long press, and they're all programmable to your smart home. This works with Thread, which is a very quick and excellent smart home protocol that makes for instant reaction. So if I hit the 3 dots here, then you'll notice that all of the lights around me have turned off. And if I hit the 1 dot, then they immediately all turn on again. And for those of you who don't really do a lot of smart home stuff, that is you're probably going, okay, that's like a switch on. This is incredible that it's that fast, that it actually responds that quickly. It used to be that this was Bluetooth until it got the firmware update that made it able to be used as a Thread device. And when it was Bluetooth, I stuck it in a drawer and I waited for Thread to come out, Thread support to come out. When it came out, I pulled it back out. I set it up, and it works beautifully. Right now, these are on sale, and I think that they're a great way to add sort of what people are used to when it comes to controlling lighting in the home. So if you live with people who aren't big into smart home stuff, and you're trying to convince them of it, an actual switch on the wall can be a very helpful way to help them out because it's what they're used to. And I love that it's got this is the sort of thing that it came with. It's a magnet in the middle, so you can fasten it there. But these holes here are so that you can screw it into a standard wall plate and on your wall. And then if it's a single gang switch, then it comes with a cover. If it's a multi-gang switch, so like the one that I have in my office, which is a dual gang switch, then I need to just pop this into what's there and then use the cover that came with it. But in any case, this I think is a great way to control the home, and is now, it used to be that it was the Philips Hue dimmer switch. That has 4 buttons. That used to be my go-to recommendation for folks as the sort of switches they could have around the house. At this point, it is now this stage scene controller. And again, that is because you actually cannot set this up using the Wemo app. There's no way to set this up using that. Belkin directs you to the home app and says that is how you need to set it up. This has an NFC chip inside of it, and so you just tap your iPhone against it, and then you can set it up very easily with your phone. And so by not having any integration with Belkin at all, that seems to have circumvented most of the issues that I've had with their products in the past. And so I very much like it. Again, available right now for about $35 on Amazon. Normally about 50. And yeah, I think it's a great choice if you're looking for a remote control to control lighting in your home.
Yeah. I do just want to take a moment to mention that in general, Bluetooth smart home products, not good. We've had folks write into us before with issues with like, hey, my phone like disconnects from my AirPods when it's in my back pocket, but not when it's in my front pocket. Why? And the answer is your human body's in the way. Now imagine your house being in the way. Like Bluetooth is just not a good protocol for stuff like this. But Thread, on the other hand, is a good protocol. So yeah, if you've got anything Bluetooth and it's got a Thread upgrade pending, hit that update button and get the benefits that Mikah is so much enjoying. Those are really nice. If light switches over here looked more like that, I would definitely be looking at those. As it is, I have a dice cube for next week up my sleeve. Not literally because it's a little large, but if it works, then I might have it as my app cap next week.
Awesome. Well, we'll be looking forward to that. Folks, that brings us to the end of this episode of iOS Today. Rosemary and I did another pivot. We had plans for a different episode, but those App Store awards hit and we said, all right, that's what we're doing in the morning. So that's what we covered. If you have questions, if you have feedback, if you have Shortcuts Corner requests, any of that stuff, email us, iostoday@twit.tv. We record this show live every Tuesday, so you can tune in and watch us by going to twit.tv/live at about 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on Tuesdays to check out the show and see how we create it as we're creating it. But of course, the best way to get the show is by subscribing or following, which you do by going to twit.tv/iOS. There you will find links to subscribe to the audio version or the video version of the show. You just simply click on that button, subscribe to audio, subscribe to video, and you choose your provider, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, all those different options. We try to be in all the places, and we do our best to make sure that the audio version of the show is just as easy to follow along with as the video version. So if you ever find that we're not holding up to that, I want to hear from you. I want you to let me know, hey, you were talking about an app and you didn't quite describe this. That helps us to make sure that we are doing that, because I do want to make sure that's possible. I want to mention that there is a way that you can help to keep TWiT rolling along, help keep this show rolling along, help make all of what we do possible. And it's called Club TWiT. Starting at $7 a month or $84 a year, you can join the club. And when you do, what that does is it helps support your favorite shows directly here at TWiT. It is you subbing in for the advertisers and making it so that you are the reason that the go keeps going. Yeah, that's what we'll go with. What happens though when you do that is it's not just you handing over some money. You also get some super awesome benefits. First, you get every single Twitch show with no ads, so completely ad-free content. You also get access to the Club Twit bonus feed that has extra content you won't find anywhere else. I believe it's called the Twit Plus feed. That's behind the scenes, before the show, after the show, and all sorts of other goodies that get thrown in there, including scheduled content. You also get access to the members-only Discord server. If you're going, what in the world is Discord? Well, if you've ever used Slack or Microsoft Teams, it's a lot like that. There are different channels that you can talk to your fellow Club Twit members and also those of us here at TWiT. So great place to hang out in the club. Plus, you get access to some extra stuff as well. The Untitled Linux Show, which is, as you might imagine, a show all about Linux, plus 2 short format shows. There's Paul Thurrott's Hands on Windows program, which gives you tips and tricks about Windows, and my show all about Apple devices. It's called Hands on Mac. So I share some tips, tricks, apps, and services that you should check out to make your iPhone, iPad, Mac experience all the better. Check all of that out, twit.tv/clubtwit, starting at $7 a month, $84 a year. We had some people say, $7, I want to give you more. So we made it possible where you get to kind of choose, starting at $7, how much you want to contribute each month. And thank you to every single Club Twit member. Thank you so much. You are, again, you help make all of this possible, and we wouldn't be able to do this without you. So thank you. Rosemary Orchard, if folks want to follow you online and check out all your great work, where should they go to do so?
Well, the best place to go is rosemaryorchard.com, which has links to all the things that I do online. But you can also find me on micro.blog and Twitter with the usernames Rosemary Orchard, and on Mastodon, Rosemary Orchard at snailedit.social, because we're nailing it online, socially and slowly. But other than that, I'm also hanging out in the Club Twit chat room, where a lot of people have been sharing some great messages, and we had an entire pets wave a couple of weeks ago, which is great. I keep scrolling back and looking at those pictures again. And yeah, somebody has just asked me where Penelope, my advent calendar penguin, came from. So that's Aldi in the UK a couple of years ago, but they may have them again. Who knows? Where can people find you, Mikah?
If you're looking for me online, you can find me at Mikah Sargent on many a social media network, including, I believe, micro.blog, or at Mikah Sargent at mastodon.social. There's so many places. But I think the best thing you could do is just head to chihuahua.coffee, CHIHUA.coffee. That's got links to the places I'm most active online, although I'm realizing I need to update that now. In any case, thank you all for tuning in this week. I hope that you were just as excited as we were about these new App Store Award winners. So many great apps out there, and congratulations to the winners, the developers that make all of these fun apps that we get to talk about every week. Just amazing work. Thank you all, and we will catch you again next week for another episode of iOS Today. Goodbye.
The world is changing rapidly. So rapidly, in fact, that it's hard to keep up. That's why Mikah Sargent and I, Jason Howell, talk with the people making and breaking the tech news on Tech News Weekly every Thursday. They know these stories better than anyone, so why not get them to talk about it in their own words? Subscribe to Tech News Weekly, and you won't miss a beat every Thursday at twit.tv.